Hey, what's going on, kids? So in this video, I wanted to share with you guys one great tip that can help you guys to solve pronoun questions with a lot more certainty and in a lot less time. So if we take a look at this answer choices, you guys, right? We know what we're being tested on pronouns, right? Because we have different types of pronouns, right? There, it's, there, and it's. Now, also, you guys notice answer choices A and B have the apostrophe, right? So whenever pronouns have apostrophes in them, these are called contractions. Okay, so a contraction is basically a shortened form of two words, right? So when we have they apostrophe re, this is just a shortened form of two words, right? They are. Okay, when we have it apostrophe s, what does this stand for? It can stand for it is, or it can stand for it has, depending on how it's used in the sentence. But just know, you guys, right? Contractions, what's the common theme here? Contractions always have verbs, right? So they are, it is, it has, okay? Now, on the other hand, we have answer choices C and D. These guys do not have the apostrophe, right? But they sound exactly the same, right? So when you say there, we say there, right? So there and there, but they're just spelled differently. Okay, so this is where it can get a little bit kind of confusing, right? But THEIR and its ITS, right? These are known as the possessive form. So what does possessive form mean? So guys, here's the thing. When pronouns, so to create a possessive pronoun form, right, we don't use an apostrophe, right? When we have an apostrophe with the pronoun, these create the contractions, right? The ones with the verbs inside of them, right? So they apostrophe RE equals they are, right? You apostrophe RE equals you are, right? But so to create the possessive form for the pronouns, we have to use a different written form, right? We have to write it differently. Now, this is going to be different when we look at nouns, right? Because when we look at nouns and put an apostrophe with the noun, we're going to create the possessive form, right? So if I say Jin's car, right? Jin's car. So Jin apostrophe S, Jin is a noun. That's my name. When I have an apostrophe S there, it creates the possessive form, right? It kind of tells me that this car belongs to me. That's what possessive means, right? It shows possession or ownership, right? But now for pronouns, right, we don't have the apostrophe. So this is where it can get a little bit confusing for students, but don't get confused, right? Is you're learning everything you need to know in this video to deal with apostrophes and pronouns, right? Kind of really, correctly, okay? So the possessive form looks at or is written in these ways, right? Now, THEIR, so if I say their car, this is just the plural possessive, meaning it refers to more than one. So it's more than one person's car, right? So it might be Jack and Jill, right? It might be their car. And if I say it's, this is just a singular form, okay? Singular form is all, right? And that's the difference, okay? So now what you can do then is when you're solving pronoun questions, just like you solve every other type of question on the SAT, is you want to focus on one concept at a time. Is always make sure to do things one thing at a time, right? Now, what I mean by that is when you're solving these questions, you want to focus on one concept at a time, right? So the first concept that we can focus on is whether these contractions are correct. Now, how we do that is I want you guys to read the sentence again, right? But I want you to plug in the contraction and read it in the uncontracted form. So instead of reading it like there, read it like they are. So plug that back into the passage and read it that way. That's going to help you guys to better hear whether it's correct or not. Because when it's not used correctly, it'll make no sense. It'll sound ridiculous to you. But when you actually plug it in like that, you'll be able to tell better, right? With the actual verb inside of it, though. Okay? So if we read the passage, it says, British scientists James Watson and Francis Crick won the Nobel Prize in part for their 1953 paper announcing the double helix structure of DNA, but it is misleading to say that Watson and Crick discovered the double helix. They are findings were based on, right? So you can tell, you're like, they are findings were based on? You're like, that doesn't make any sense at all. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, right? And you'd be correct to say that it sounds ridiculous. That's how you know these contractions are not going to be right, right? If you read it with the verb in it, in these contractions, you can better tell whether it's written correctly or not, right? But you can't do that if you're just reading the word like the answer choice. If you say their findings, you're like, well, that's their findings and their findings. It's the same thing, right? So you can't hear it better. But if you say they are findings, you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense though, okay? So now that can help you to cross out A and B with certainty. Now, next step is, well, what about C and D? Well, now this is where you're checking, right? Is the noun plural or singular, right? So this is where we talked about in the previous pronoun video, question number 19 for this practice test, the College Board practice test number 1, module 1. Question number 19 was a pronoun question, right? Well, we dealt with pronoun clarity, right? So we talked about when we're dealing with pronoun clarity, we read the sentence again, right? And we ask ourselves, well, what noun is this pronoun referring to, right? So in other words, when we read it like their findings, we're asking ourselves, whose findings are they talking about, right? Whose findings are they talking about here, okay? Now, your job is to figure out the answer to that question based off of the information that you read. Okay, so this is where you want to use the context of the passage, understand the context of what you're reading to figure out whose findings, right, the sentence is talking about. You guys can all do this as long as you just read with this purpose in mind. So when you're trying to figure out which pronouns to use, right, this is the strategy that I use always. You can read the passage, you can read it again. You can read it again if you need to, but then you just want to ask yourself, right, well, based on what I read in this passage, based on my understanding of the context, right, whose findings is this referring to? Okay, and so if you think about it, well, whose findings is it referring to? Well, it's referring to Watson and Francis Crick. It's their findings, right? So Watson and Francis Crick, the next question I got to ask you guys is this singular or a plural noun? Where you're like Watson and Crick, that refers to more than one person, right? So if it refers to more than one person, we know it's plural. So what's the correct answer, right? It would have to be THEIR, right? Because THEIR is the plural form, right? The plural possessive form, right? ITS is the singular form, and that's it. So this allows you to cross out D and choose answer choice C for this question, okay? So that'll do it for this video, you guys. Please make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It'll really help spread the word to more students like yourselves, right, who really want to level up their SAT scores and get into the college of their dreams. It is part of my mission, and I really would love your help and support in achieving that mission to help 1 million students like yourselves, right, really take steps forward to achieving their future dreams. Please comment in the comment box. Tell me one thing that you learned in this video. Tell me one thing that you found helpful from this video. Also, tell me one thing that you want to learn. I read all of your messages, and I really appreciate all the love and support that you guys are showing. It's fantastic. Thank you guys so much for that. And I do create these videos based off of what you guys say. So there was a student who asked for the College Board explanations, and so I'm creating the College Board explanations. And so if you guys kind of tell me what you want to learn, right, I can just almost with pretty much, it's almost guaranteed that I can teach you guys, right, what it is that you guys want to learn, okay? So guys, until next time, make sure to always stay curious. You never stop learning. Keep moving forward. You know, you guys got this. Take care.